WWE had their version of Black Sunday today, as they have released 3 wrestlers from contracts. You have Emma, Summer Rae, and Darren Young. Of the 3, I was very surprised with Emma. Not surprised at all with the other 2, but extremely surprised that they released Emma. Had this been, it's weird to say. Now, you might be thinking, why would you be surprised? I mean, they've done nothing with her. Yeah, except last week. I mean, they had her dominate Asuka for the majority of the match. It was a match that was, everyone was expecting an Asuka 30-second squash, which is, in hindsight, is exactly what it should have been. I thought that's what it should have been. The match was actually a good match, even though Emma dominated most of it when she really shouldn't have. And Emma's gone in a week later. How does that make sense? How does WWE explain that? How the hell does their booking ever make any sense? You're going to release this chick. You're going to release her. And then, on the way out, you have her go up against one of your top female stars, the woman who's going to be the future of your women's division, who is going to be the champion soon, and you have her give her a very competitive match. Why? It's so stupid. The one thing I think maybe Emma was asking for her release. I thought, okay, maybe Emma asked for this because she seemed disgruntled. You can tell, but I don't think so. She even tweeted, it was kind of sad. She tweeted the broken heart emoji on Twitter, and I just kind of felt really bad for her, even though, they did nothing with her. Not a lot. Some of it was her fault. The LRMania thing was a disaster, and I kind of feel bad for her. When she came into from NXT, she had some momentum. She had a really good match at Paige. And it's funny, I thought Paige would be the one released after all the shit that's happened with her this past year, but Emma gets released. I don't know if Paige is going to come back. Maybe that spot's for Paige now on Raw. Who knows? Anyway, but she has the match at Paige at NXT Arrival, and man, it was just downhill. They put her in a program at Santino Marella, who was just a complete bomb, who was terrible, and she lost all her momentum. The thing was a complete and utter flop. Her gimmick was trash. The bubbly Emma was just awful. Then she got arrested for stealing, I think it was an iPad cover from Walmart. I still remember that story. They released her, but then on Twitter, this was about 3 years ago, this tells you the Twitter mob, how powerful they can be and how they can control WWE. They got so mad at WWE because they realized WWE had wrestlers that had committed DUIs and they had kept them, and they got pissed off, and they forced WWE to give her job back. And WWE for once caved in. Emma was rehired, and I was happy. It was extremely unfortunate to hear that they fired her, even if it was shoplifting. That situation happens. Okay, and then they do nothing with her. She's off TV for like a whole year, and it seems like they're gonna release her. And then I don't know, maybe Triple H sees something in her and he sends her back to NXT. She's back in NXT for a while, long time. She comes back to the main roster as Evil Emma, and Evil Emma was a cool gimmick. And she was finally, once in her career, going to get some momentum. She teamed up with Dana Brooke. They were very good in NXT. And I think not having Dana Brooke and Emma hurt Dana Brooke a lot. I think Emma was good with her, but that was the bad thing that happened. Dana Brooke's, her career is going absolutely nowhere. She's going to be released probably within a year. I mean, come on, that's obvious. She has nothing. Anyway, you're thinking that, and then she gets a bad back injury. Injuries are no favor in that company. Misses for a long period of action. Then the whole LRMania thing happens, and I'm interested. Emma posts these smoking hot model bikini photos of herself on Instagram all the time. This is going to be her new gimmick, LRMania. I was looking forward to LRMania. It was going to be the replacement to Eva Marie, and then for whatever reason, I think it flopped. She was doing such a bad job in the rehearsals that Vince McMahon scrapped it, and then LRMania is no more. There's 6 months of LRMania, no more. Then Emma becomes Evil Emma. Evil Emma returns again and doesn't do much. The whole division became around Alexa Bliss. She's their new star, and you also had Bayley, you had Sasha Banks, you had Nia Jax, you had Mickie James returning. You have Asuka now. Just she never got much of a chance, and she was released. So, it is what it is. I feel bad for her. She seems like a decent person. So I do feel bad for her. I think she's really talented. Just the company, it was her whole tenure on the main roster was just such a disaster, and it's really unfortunate. She's really talented, but it seems like at NXT everything went well. On the main roster, like everything was just a complete disaster for her, and I feel for her. So, what does she do now? I mean, there's not a big market for women in wrestling. Maybe she goes into modeling. Maybe she set herself up for that. She realized her WWE tenure won't be that long. Who knows? But thank you, Emma. And I enjoyed her work at NXT, and unfortunately, I wish the company would have done better with her on the main roster, and she would have been in better positions to have success. So it is what it is. Summer Rae. To say I'm surprised, yeah, I am not surprised at all. Summer Rae, she's an interesting one. She came on the main roster and she had momentum, and I liked her a lot when she first debuted. I think Summer Rae at her best was when she was with Fandango. I thought they were a very good pairing, and I enjoyed their work together. I thought she was a good heel manager. She fit in really well with Fandango's character, and I was enjoying Summer Rae in Fandango. And then once they split her up from Fandango, her career just... oh, man, it was a complete disaster. In NXT, she wasn't... she was the first, I think, main woman to be called up. Emma and Paige and Summer, that's kind of almost the original three back in NXT. And we'll see what they do with Paige, if she's going to come back and actually get a push. It's crazy. But she is a much bigger star than Emma and Summer. Anyway, Summer... she comes up to the main roster early, and she was in a time where she was never the four horsewomen. She wasn't as good as, Charlotte, Becky, and Bayley and Sasha. She was not that. She was never on that level. She was never a really good wrestler, but I've seen her in the ring. She's had decent matches. She's had decent matches with Charlotte in NXT before. However, things just didn't work out. She came up way too early when they were still divas, and she just... her... they have, after the problems with Fandango, her whole career just turned into a disaster. They had her team up with Layla, nothing happened, and then the other thing that the thing that I'll never forget was that awful, horrific storyline that she had with Rusev and Lana and Ziggler, and the whole Ruru thing, her and Rusev against Lana and Ziggler, and Lana kills it by posting that she's married to Rusev on Instagram, and then there's a whole bunch of heat, and then, Lana basically killed any push Summer Rae could have ever had, even though I don't blame Lana, because that fucking feud, that whole storyline was fucking horrible. But then we really haven't seen much from her in 2 years. We have really barely seen her. She's done nothing. I mean... it's kind of as expected. I think she was expecting it. I even follow her on Instagram. She's always partying in Las Vegas. Her and Emma, I mean, they party in Vegas. I mean, they probably were just living it up. But Emma, I think, probably not Emma. She was on TV. But with Summer, I think she knew this was going to happen. I don't think anybody is surprised whatsoever. And it is what it is. Just didn't see much there for her to do. I don't get why they didn't, bring her back. She's been healthy for a while, and I think once they decide there's just no spot for her, I think that's the problem. And I think that the influx of NXT stars, women are going to come up. Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, Liv Morgan, Ember Moon. She's going to be a star, I think. Kairi Sane, and then there's the whole stuff with the Four Horsewomen. That kind of killed Summer Rae. There's just no spot for her, and it's unfortunate. But I enjoyed her work in the beginning. I thought 4 years ago when she debuted as Fandango's valet, I thought that was she was at her best. I thought that was some of her. I thought she was a good heel manager. I thought they were a great pairing. Didn't work out in the end. So it's unfortunate to see Summer go, and seems like a nice person, but. There was no spot for her. And then the third one was Darren Young. So Darren Young, the first ever, not the first ever openly gay wrestler. Pat Patterson was openly gay, but Pat Patterson never really had a platform to announce it to the world. So I guess I guess maybe Patterson didn't announce he was openly gay, but it was like the worst kept secret ever. So, Darren Young. I enjoyed the Primetime Players as a heel team. I liked it. A lot of people hate the Primetime Players. And to recap Darren Young's career, he started off in the Nexus, and that whole thing is that's interesting. That whole Nexus thing was going to be this huge invasion angle. 7 years later, these guys were going to be the future of the company. All of them are gone. Almost all of them. I think Wade Barrett's gone. Ryback, who was Skip Sheffield's gone. Darren Young is now gone. Michael Tarver was gone a long time ago. I believe Heath Slater was there, but I mean he's a jobber. The other two guys, Otunga's a commentator, but I mean he had a flopped wrestling career. And Daniel Bryan. Am I missing someone else? Oh yeah, that one kid, Justin Gabriel. Yeah, he got released too. Daniel Bryan, who obviously became a huge megastar, but he's probably going to leave in a year or two. So it's interesting. In probably about 8 years, the whole Nexus thing is gone. After Nexus, he was released. I think he came back, and then he formed the Primetime Players with Titus O'Neil. And I enjoyed that team as a tag team, heel team, not as much as a face team. And I really liked them with AW. I thought AW was very entertaining. And I was really getting behind that gimmick. Then they fire AW. Primetime Players don't go anywhere. Darren Young got hurt so many times. I mean, this guy was injured so many times. He kept missing time. He just didn't have anything. They split the Primetime Players. They tried to give Titus O'Neil a huge push. It flopped miserably. And then what happens later with Darren Young is they do that, make Darren Young great again, which he was never great. He was never any good. But the whole thing with Bob Backlund, and that whole thing was just a complete and utter disastrous flop. It was fucking atrocious. It was so bad. It was just garbage. I hated it so much. Oh, God, that was a disaster. And then there was absolutely nothing left for him to do. He got injured again. He tore his ACL again. He was just a jobber, and eventually Darren Young is released. It was interesting. I read a Twitter post. He was at a Los Angeles Clippers game, and he was doing promotional work for WWE. So I don't know if these releases were sudden. I don't know how these releases happened, and I'm really interested to hear the reasons for these releases. And I'm also interested if this is the beginning. If this is good, they're going to hear more releases over and over again. That's possible, but we'll see what happens. Some of the sheets might report more on what's happening, but with Darren Young, the whole Bob Backlund thing happened, the injuries. He was never any good. Again, the first ever openly gay wrestler. That's why he kept his job for 4 years. Let's not make any, it's not sugarcoat anything. We know that's why. Not saying I understand WWE wanting to have diversity and wanting to have the first ever openly gay wrestler on the roster for good PR reasons. And if I was running a business, I wouldn't have probably fired Darren Young. But the guy is just dead space. I mean, he's not there. He's not contributing anything. He's not on TV. He's always hurt. He's injury prone. He has no charisma. Not a good wrestler. Just nothing to Darren Young. So. His sexual orientation kept him his job for 4 years after he announced that he was gay about 4 years ago. But now there's just nothing much for him to do. And he didn't bring any value to them, so it's hard to pay a guy who's always hurt. So, but those releases, it is what it is. It was a Black Sunday for WWE, but it's never good to see anyone lose their job. And one thing I'm interested in just seeing is, unfortunately, I don't think this is the end, because whenever they announce mass releases, it's not usually 3. It's about 9 or 10 guys. Last year, there was a huge bus flip. I think 3 years ago, there was a big bus flip where they just fired people at random. I mean, maybe there's a lot of NXT call-ups coming, but it's always unfortunate to see people lose their jobs. But next for WWE, if there's more updates, more people will get released, I will talk about it on my Raw review, because I'm expecting a little more names, because this usually doesn't end well. But as for the releases right now, Summer Rae and Darren Young obviously were heavily expected, and I would have expected Emma a few months ago, but the way they booked her the last week was very surprising. And all I can say is it's unfortunate to see Emma go, and even though we knew it was going to happen, it still kind of breaks your heart a bit to see her go. And thank you, Emma.